Hey guys, it's Jen and I have another layout for you using the June Felicity Jane Next Stop kit. This is my first layout with this kit actually. I know it's close to the end of June, but it's the first time I've gotten a chance to play with it. And so I am using for my background this paper that is in the kit, and it is like just a double-sided solid sheet instead of cardstock this time. We got the double-sided solid sheets, which is cool because you have two options in one. And the color matches perfectly, so that's a cool thing. Now, this is for a tips and tricks post over on the Felicity Jane blog, and the first tip that I want to give you is to let your products inspire what your layout's going to be about. Now, this kit is super versatile, but it does have a slight, it's called Next Stop because it has a slight travel theme to it, and so there are elements throughout the kit, and especially in the stamp set, that have a real nod to travel and road tripping. And so I decided to pull a couple of photos from our trip that we took to Oregon that I'm still trying to document. And these are pictures from the road that have a little bit of a funny story to go with them. And so I pulled out elements in the kit that had to do specifically with road tripping or adventure. So I have a couple of these are from the die cuts, this word that says adventure. I have a wood veneer that says adventure. I have some speech bubbles because I'm going to write something that my daughter said. And then I have this little tape that says road trip. I don't know if we'll use that one, but maybe. And then some of the cut-aparts that have words on them that are obviously easy to use for that kind of thing. I'll be using the stamps for sure. And I'm going to be using just those things from the kit to create a layout about this kind of road trip funny story that happened. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and get this layout started. And I will be sharing lots of different tips and tricks with you throughout the layout. And I didn't know what to focus on for one specific tip or trick. And so I'm just going to show you or explain to you a lot of different little things along the way. So I hope that you'll roll with me on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of figure out my title. And that's my first tip, is to use pre-made embellishments or die cuts as a fuel to decide what your title will be. So my title's going to be Adventure from the Back Seat. And I'm using the awesome chipboard alphabet that came in the kit for the word back seat. And then that adventure piece is an exclusive die cut. And then I'm using these black letter stickers that you can find in the Felicity Jane shop. I'm not using black, I'm going to use white for the words from the. And I'm putting it all on some wax paper just so that I can move things around before I commit to anything. That's another one of my favorite tips too, is to use wax paper. So next, I'm going to cut up a few strips of patterned paper. I'm using a wood grain and then that colorful stripe, and I'm going to use these to kind of rest my layout on, my photos on. And this is another one of my tips, is use one of your go-to designs. This is something that I do fairly often, is I'll center everything on the layout. And so I've got the title centered on the top, and then I got the photos beneath it, and then I'm going to have some other stuff beneath that. And just use what you're comfortable with. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel every time you create a layout. So what I'm doing here is just trying to arrange my photos so that I can get something nice, and I'm going to use that little journaling card is from the printables, the subscriber printables for this month, and it's blue, and I'm going to write my journaling on that. So I'm going to use the road trip little flare and the adventure wood veneer on the bottom of it, and I'm going to stamp the words "this totally happened" at the top for my journaling, and I think that's a cute little phrase. And the story with this layout is my daughter had to entertain herself for hours. It's a long drive from Utah to Oregon, and she had to entertain herself quite a lot in the back seat. And so I heard her just screaming, "Oh no, I'm gonna die!" And it was just really dramatic and hilarious. And it was Anna. She was falling from the ceiling, and it was just funny. So I took a few pictures. Okay, here is my next tip, is to create unity with amongst your elements. So I have the word adventure. It's hard to see, but it has a small black outline, and so does the speech bubble right there. And so I decided to add a small black outline to my journaling strip, and that's also because I wanted the blue on blue to stand out. It was really blending into the background before, but now it sticks out. So that's two birds with one stone. I helped it to pop, and I also unified it with some of the other elements. I'm looking up the date and exactly what my daughter said from my Instagram post. And so I'm just writing out, the speech bubble is perfect place to write out a quote. And so I'm writing what Anna said, "Oh no, I'm going to die." And I'm going to put that next to that photo. Now I want to pop this up on some foam. So I'm going to place my little cut apart sticker on top of the foam and then stick it down to the photo. And now I'm going to place my title down, and I'm just making sure I have it all lined up, and I'm using the top of the photos as a guide as I place those letters down. And then I will place the words from the, and I decided to choose the white instead of the black for the letters because I didn't want it to stick out. I wanted it to be subtle. And so that just helps it. It still stands out enough because I'm using that blue paper. I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning, but that paper is like the patterned papers, but it's a solid color, and it's good because the back side of it has a brighter color, and it just exactly matches the kit, so it's awesome. So I'm gluing down the word adventure, and then I'm also going to pop up this little geotag. So I'm just cutting a piece of foam to fit that, and I'm going to pop it up above the title. So you can see everything is kind of centered, but there will be a few things to the left and right to just give it a little bit of variance. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those down. The word adventure, I used some of my tape runner for that, and then I also added a little bit of extra stability with some staples. And now I'm going to do some stamping. So this is my next tip. If you want to include a bunch of stamps but you don't want it to overtake the layout, try doing tone-on-tone stamping. So I'm using some Glacier ink from Close to My Heart, which matches the background color of the paper pretty well, but it still stands out enough for you to see the words. And I'm just going to stamp a bunch of the phrases from the stamp set from this month on the background. And so things like on the road, next stop, are we there yet? Awesome. And I also decided, after I had stamped a bunch of those, I decided I wanted some more stamps. And so I'm going to pull out some older Felicity Jane stamps and just kind of go through them and add a bunch of other stamps in there as well. So you can see that I'm getting some nice texture and some nice, I'm filling up that background so it's not quite so boring, but it's not taking up a lot of visual weight because it's tone on tone. And I really like that look. So stamping the word adventures, and you can see me just going through the stamps there. I'll pull out a few others. I think I'm going to pull out the word so good, or the phrase so good, and I kind of like ya, and remember. And there's the remember that I'm stamping right now. And I'm just pulling out a bunch of things that, apply well enough to the layout. This was a super quick layout to create because I just went to a fallback design that I use quite often, and I let my the theme of the kit kind of direct what photos I was going to use and what story I was going to tell. So it went really, really pretty quickly. I think that this layout took me about half an hour to create. So the next thing that I add are these little wood asterisks, and they came in the kit as well. And I'm adding 2 of them just so that I can get 3 spots of that wood color on the layout. So now I'm going to write down my journaling, and that card has a very subtle grid printed on the background of it, so it was really easy to line up my handwriting. And I'm just writing about how my daughter had to entertain herself and how we were also entertained by her funny little stories that she was making up in the back seat, and how Anna almost died, but she made it through, so that was good. Those were some long car rides. My husband swears we'll never drive again. We're flying next time. But it didn't really bother me. So now I'm thinking about the date and what I want to do with the date. And I decide to pull out, these are some new, they're actually made for planners, but they're month stamps. And I'm going to stamp the word June, and it's kind of an open outline, Jun. And then I'm going to stamp the date on top of the word June with black ink. And I think that's a cool way to layer stamps, specifically with a month and a date. And so that's my next tip, is to layer your stamps together. Use two different colors, or use a color and a black to get an interesting look. I'm also going to stamp the date on the background in the blue, just to add another little something. And that is going to finish this layout off. I thought I was going to add some washi tape, but I decided not to. And here are the close-up photos. So I hope you'll try some of these simple techniques for your next layout to create something simple but quick to do, and still that still looks great. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to head to felicityjane.com to check out these products and stamp sets. We'll see you soon.